So welcome to you all, and thank you for joining us for our latest talk in our career and wellbeing series. And today's focus is all about how you keep your career and business on track whilst we are going through the summer holidays. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sarah Austin, and I'm the founder of the Really Helpful Club. And for those of you who are not familiar with Really Helpful Club, we thought it would be helpful to give you some background as to who we are and what our community is all about before we introduce you to our speaker. And our team each come from professional corporate backgrounds. I was a senior fund manager in the city. Caroline Edwards, our events director, who's with us today, was a leading barrister. And Ronan and Francesca, who run Really Helpful Club in Surrey, Sussex and Hampshire, both had successful careers in PR. And we've each taken career breaks, and we're now on our journey together, building this vibrant and fast-growing community. So Really Helpful Club is an online network that brings together positive and open-minded people to help and connect one another in our personal and our business lives. And when I launched Really Helpful Club, I wanted to create a community of positive people, a place to share advice and connect with others. And our vision is to be a supportive community, one that delivers trusted resources and valuable connections at every stage in life. And now, 7 years on, we have grown into a unique network of like-minded people, a vibrant and collaborative community of well over 15,000 members. And our community is made up of mainly women in their 30s to 60s, facing real life's challenges. Our members share and they listen, supporting and empowering each other through key stages of life, whether that's from the early years parenting and career breaks, to the emotional needs of teenagers, returning to work, career progression, and the health challenges of midlife and caring for elderly parents. And it's our shared journeys that bind our community together and is our greatest asset. And we would like to invite you to join our community if you haven't already done so. It's free to be a member, and we'll give you access to our events, resources, and a newsletter with all the latest information and updates. We'll pop a registration link into the chat, and we look forward to welcoming you to our vibrant and our fast-growing community. And we have an exciting program of talks and workshops coming up in the next few months. So please make sure you visit the website regularly, look out for the newsletters, and be sure to contact Caroline Edwards about the events program. And all our webinars and online events are recorded. So please be sure to contact Caroline if there's something on here that you've missed and you'd like to be able to access the recording. Now, we're very proud of our careers and our business support program. And every year, Really Helpful Club hosts a highly successful Back to Business conference for our thriving business and member community. And it's a great opportunity to meet, to connect and network with like-minded people who are focused on developing their skill set and expanding their network. And we enlist for help of fantastic, highly experienced and inspirational industry professionals and thought leaders who can present great talks full of useful tips, advice and guidance with the aim of boosting our members' confidence and empowering them to step out of their comfort zone, go out into the world and to achieve their dreams. And we are incredibly proud to have helped over 2,500 women to take their next step forward. So please do contact Caroline, visit the website and register your interest for our next landmark Back to Business event, which will take place in January 2023. And today's workshop is the latest in this careers and business development program. And we all know it can be a real struggle to balance work and home life, especially during the summer holidays. It's hard to know how to stay engaged, but how you keep things moving forward with your business and your career, whilst also managing to take some time off. And we're delighted that we're joined by Henrietta Nelson, who's going to be sharing her top tips about how you can use your time effectively over summer holidays to learn new skills, move forward with any ambitions that you may have to return to work or to start a business, and most importantly, how to juggle work and home life. Henrietta is a career coach, helping people to create a working life that inspires and energizes them. And her areas of expertise include career change, launching a new business, confidence and imposter syndrome, and returning to work after career break. And before I hand over to Henrietta, just a little bit of housekeeping and guidance about the format and timings for today. The session's going to last an hour. It's going to be a very informative session, as well as a very safe space. And most important of all, this is for you and about you. I know that Henrietta is going to do some interactive exercises with us, which is going to be fantastic. If you've got any comments or questions, please do pop those into the chat box. It's so nice to see people engaged in a workshop. But if you have something that you prefer to keep private, please can you direct that to Caroline Edwards so that we can then ask that in the questions session. But of course, it allows you to keep your anonymity if you prefer to do so. Caroline will collate these as we go along. She'll chair a questions and answers session as we go, but also if there are appropriate moments within the workshop, we can share those as well. So with that, just before I hand over to Henrietta, we'll take a recording and we'll send this to you. So there's no need to take screenshots or take notes unless you want to do so. This is for you just to listen, enjoy what Henrietta has to say. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing and hand over to you, Henrietta. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Sarah. I am just going to put it onto a different screen. Oh no, I can see you all now. That's good. Thank you very much. And I just wanted, I think it's such a valuable resource, this network of people, the really helpful club, and I love what you're doing because bringing together communities is what it's all about, and it's what I really stand for as well. So I love what you're doing. It's lovely to see some faces, some of you here, and although this is, she said, Sarah said not to take notes because it is recorded. I would ask if you do have a pen and paper. I'm going to be asking you to consider some questions for you, and the best way that you can sort of do that is to get the answers out on paper. So if you do have a pen and paper, you know, as the exercises progress, there's a particular exercise where I'd love you to do some journaling. So if you do have a pen and paper, that would be great. I would love to have a chance to sort of hear from you and hear who you are and what's important to you this summer. But I think we're not going to have the opportunity for that today. So you have to it's your session, so you make it you know what you need. It's going to be yeah, you can take from it what you need today. So before we get going, I'd love to just hear from you. I'd love to hear a little bit about how everyone is feeling about the upcoming holidays. You're speaking to someone who's on day 3 already of the summer holidays. So I'd love to hear sort of when you think about the coming 8, 9, 10 weeks ahead or less, what's coming up for you? How are you feeling about it? You can just shout out or tap into the chat.
I'm feeling quite relieved, I suppose, to have got to the end of term. My situation is slightly different in that my children come back for the summer.
Yes.
Because I've got university-age children. And so my life gets busier, actually, family-wise, but work-wise, it tends to die back. Okay, great. So we've got some relief. I can sometimes feel a bit sort of tense, like, how am I going to manage it? That comes up for me. Sarah says, always a juggle, but important to remember this is really valuable time for family life as well as work, quite, yeah.
I think sometimes anticipation is perhaps more daunting than reality. You know, it's
always.
And I think when your children are then grown up and, you know, and have moved on to the next stage, I'm a big advocate. You don't have any regrets.
Yeah.
And so yeah, you just somehow make it work.
Yeah.
Actually, the biggest regret is I think that you miss out on family time, and you know, you juggle. It's all in the planning.
Yeah. Well, exactly, and that's what today is about. It's about us looking at the summer, looking at the weeks ahead, and just giving a little bit of thought and setting a few sort of intentions about how we want to be, what we want to focus on, you know, what's important to us. Because often I know certainly I in the past would sort of just arrive at it, and so it felt like sort of the summer holidays sort of happened to me like a sort of wave coming over me, which was sort of just sort of, I had no control over it. It was just like, there it was, and whoosh, and I'd turn up in September feeling sort of slightly deranged, feeling like I'd sort of lost all sense of who I was, sense of self, because I'd spent the whole summer putting everyone else's needs first. And then I'd get to September and I feel like I need a sort of month of recovery, of sort of piecing my house back together, piecing myself back together. And you know, that's all very well, but what I do see is September for me, it has such a great energy of new starts, new back to school feeling. And so if people do want to be kickstarting a new project, doing something for themselves, September is a great time to do that. And so if we can start thinking about that now, it can enable us to make sure that we put some steps, take some steps now over the summer to give that some thought and work out how we want to be feeling come September, and what we might want to do now over the summer, so that we can make sure that come September we're in the right frame of mind, and we don't sort of feel like we've been torn apart by the summer holidays. So this session isn't about me telling you what you should or shouldn't do. This is a session which I am going to encourage you to tap into your own wisdom, your own inner voice that's going to tell you about what you need to be focusing on. I think the world is full of, it's very noisy at the moment. It's full of a lot of people telling you what you should do, what you should be thinking about. And really, I want to quieten down that noise. I really want to turn that noise down of the outside world and the noise of shoulds. And I want to encourage you to listen to your inner wisdom. And that the only way I know that we are able to tap into our own inner wisdom is by getting really quiet and listening to what comes up for ourselves. So we're going to have the opportunity to do that today. And the calmer and more quiet we are in ourselves, that's where clarity emerges. That's where all of our innate sort of well-being comes from, in the quiet. That's where we're allowed to access peace, calm, clarity, wisdom. So I hope that this is going to give the opportunity for you to do that. So you get what you need from the summer. And I thought, as I always do about these sessions, I thought, what do I want you to be taking away from this? And I hope that what you're going to take away is a little bit, you're going to go with your shoulders, maybe feeling a little bit more relaxed, a little more, dare I say, excited about what's coming up over the summer. And also, you're going to have the opportunity to focus a little bit on what you want to get out of the summer, rather than just always thinking about other people. So I suspect that your diary has already got a few things that need to be done. There's probably work that needs to be done. There's probably meetings you need to attend. There's probably children's activities that are already kind of like, I think of them as sort of staging posts over the summer, as it were. So if you look at your summer like a map, there are various staging posts. There's probably a holiday within there. So what I like to think of them as almost like, if you imagine a jar, and they've got these staging posts, which are like some big rocks you're putting in the jar, which are like your things that are just going to have to happen no matter what. And I'm not going to be talking about those, because I think that those things will happen no matter what. What I want to be looking at today is the spaces in between, these sort of these landmark events, things are going to happen. So I feel like it's almost like the sand. If you have your jar full of rocks, the sand and the small little stones that are filling up the spaces. Because if you can focus some attention on the spaces in between these sort of landmark events, they can infuse the whole summer with some of these this sort of attitude as well. So yeah, so these spaces, I want you to consider what's going to nourish you, what's going to replenish you, what's going to fill you up and give you joy over the summer, because it's your summer too, and you know, you get to enjoy it. I don't think anyone wins when we're martyrs. I've definitely fallen into that trap before, and you know, generally it can make us feel miserable, us feel like a victim. And so I want you to make sure that there's opportunities for you to enjoy yourself, so that and this spreads out throughout the family. You know, that if we're happy, then it's amazing how this sets the tone for the rest of the family as well. So first of all, what we're going to do. So yes, the other thing I ask you, and I'm sure that this goes without saying, that this, because I'm asking you to tune into your own wisdom, it's not going to be a seminar or a talk where you can just sort of blindly sort of sit down and take some notes. You're actually going to have to really give your attention to these exercises and really listen to yourself. It's not about you listening to me so much, it's about you listening to yourself. So it's not a sort of session where you can have on in the background while you do your weekly shop on Ocado. You know, and I know that's a big ask. Attention is, I think I heard someone say that we've had various phases where the most valuable commodity was, one stage it was oil, another stage it was data, that was the most valuable commodity, and now it's time. So everyone is vying for our time. And so I appreciate you, and I see you for taking this time out to listen to me. I think it's a real gift if you are able to give yourself some time to think about these things. So I'm grateful for that as well. So what I'm going to start with today is a visualization exercise, where we're going to get really quiet, and we're going to get into a sort of meditative state, and we're going to go forward to September. And from that space, we're then going to look back over the summer, and I'm going to ask you some questions about your summer. And then I'm going to ask you to journal the answers to these. When you answer the questions, I don't want you to go back up into your thinky brain, you know, because that's likely to be full of shoulds and all of those. I should do this, I should do that. I want you to answer the journal questions when you're still in that calm state, still in that place. And you know, that's where some wisdom will come out, some truths will come out. There's going to be, I ask you not to judge what comes out. Don't judge yourself. No one's going to see this. You know, so it's just for you. Some of the questions might seem repetitive. They might seem like they don't apply to you. If that's the case, then that's fine. Just skip them. You may think that some of the questions are leading questions. If that's the case and it's not for you, then that's fine. Just ignore it and move on. But you know, trust your intuition and listen to what comes up. And from that exercise, we're going to then have some useful information which we can then use to bring out some things that we want to be focusing on. So before we get started, if anyone needs to do something to make themselves comfortable before we start, if they want to close a door, you know, anything like that, then please do. And you know, when you're ready, if you just get comfortable, if you want to turn off your cameras, that's fine too while we're doing this. Whatever feels comfortable for you. So yeah, so get yourself comfortable, have a wiggle around. Okay, and as you come into a comfortable position, if it feels safe to do so, allow your eyes to gently close, allowing your attention to turn gently inwards, meeting yourself in this moment and noticing how familiar or strange that feels, this meeting of yourself. Noticing how it feels to be you in this moment. Feeling the space that you fill in the places where air meets your skin. Feeling the gentle rise and fall of your belly with every breath you take. Not needing to change anything. Simply noticing the wisdom of your body that knows when it's time to take each new breath and knows when it's time to let go. No decision needed. No thinking it through. Noticing the wisdom of your body that knows when it's time to let that breath go. Feeling yourself as a breathing being, in and out, in your own natural rhythm. Nothing to do, nothing to make happen. In and out. And finding yourself now with your feet on the forest floor, step by step, walking through the autumn forest. The sun glinting in through the trees about you. And you find your way to your tree, the one where the roots have made a seat as if carved just for you. Allow yourself to sink into the support, feeling the trunk behind your back. As you sit here now, you slowly become aware that we have travelled forward in time to September. The leaves on the trees have turned a muted shade of brown. There's a chill in the air, and the evening light is beginning to close in. As you lean against this tree, you look back over the summer months just had. Your heart fills with joy as you reflect on what you did, who you saw, and how it felt to be you over this 2-month period. You feel proud of the memories that were made, the things that were or weren't achieved, and who you chose to be over that summer. Now, as you stay with these feelings, I'd like you to gently lift your pen. When you're ready, answer the following questions. Trust your intuition. Trust what comes out. Nothing to get right. Nothing to get wrong. What was it that made this summer so special? What did you spend your time doing? How did you balance the different demands on your time? How did you nourish yourself? What did you let go of? What did you accomplish? How did you show up around others? Who were you being? What was different about this summer? Was there a common thread running through the summer? Now looking towards the new school term. How are you feeling as we move into autumn? What did you do over the summer to prepare yourself for now? How did you make space? For the new term. Now keep writing. Anything else that comes up to you? Anything else that comes from this inquiry? If you haven't had a chance to answer all the questions, that's okay. You can always come back to them. If it feels right, you might want to take a deep breath and gently start moving your body, wiggling your toes. Maybe have a stretch. Bring yourself back. When it feels right, you turn your camera back on and come back to the session. So if you look back at your notes, I think you might see some themes that are going to show up. And if that's the case, you could write a document, you could make a list, one entitled Being, how you want to be, and one entitled Doing. And you could make a list of what the things you want to be, how you want to be being, which are going to be more of the intangibles, and things you want to be doing, pulling from that document. And if it makes sense to you, you could add another column, something else. You could just fill it with a few words for now, and then if it feels appropriate, you could come back. There might be certain practices you want to be doing a few times a week. Go in the doing column. And maybe states of mind that you're going to try and bring yourself back to. So I'm going to, difficult for me to know how much time you need, but I'll look at, I can see Caroline and Sarah, so I'm going to keep going, and then maybe it could be something that you go back and pull these things together after the session. So yeah, so from that being and doing column, there could come an action list or some things that you need to take now to make those things happen. So let's say that I've said, on my doing list, I want to try and go to a yoga class 3 times a week. I might then start sort of looking at sort of making that happen, or getting some, so I say on my doing things, I want to, catch up with some friends, and, I could make some plans now to make that happen. So from those lists, there may be some actions that you can take now to make those things more of a reality. this again is taking more control so that you're in the driving seat, and you're rather than letting things just happen to you, you've taken some actions to make some of the things that are important to you happen. So now you'll notice we've focused today on all the things about that you can do and that you're taking charge of. I haven't in this session. There are likely, if you're anything like me, to be certain variables that include other people that are going to impact on how your summer goes. I went in yesterday and my children had breakfast and left it just all over the place, and then they've gone on to do their thing. So there are certain things that we believe that we need other people to do, or behaviors that we require from them, that we feel that we need from them in order for us to be okay and for us to get our summer off to, the best summer that we can have. Now, I'd invite you to put these things, there may be some of them, and I'd invite you to put them in brackets and hold them lightly, because if we make our okayness, our happiness, our contentment dependent on how other people show up, we're opening ourselves up to being on a bumpy path, because sometimes they don't. And if we attach our well-being to how other people are showing up, that can be a bit of a slippery slope. That said, sometimes it does help to communicate, the communication, the way that we can communicate with people. And what I would like to draw your attention to is something that Steve Chandler talks about. He's a well-known coach, which is a distinction between expectation and agreements. Expectations are when we expect things of ourselves, things of other people. We expect them. I'd like you to meet my expectations. A lot of companies say, we want every employee to exceed our expectations. Now, the problem with expectations is obviously sometimes they're just held inside. They're not communicated to other people. We have these expectations, people don't meet them, and we then get cross, angry, frustrated. And then the other side of the coin, if people do meet our expectations, we don't congratulate them on them. We don't give them credit for meeting our expectations. It's just like, oh, well, you met my expectation, there we go. So I would expectations are dangerous, and they can set us up for disappointment. So if you do find yourself having certain expectations of others, my recommendation, my loving recommendation would be to turn those expectations into agreements. So my children, have breakfast, leave it all over the place, wander off, do their thing. I can get angry and shout at them, but actually more helpful is me going to be, when I've calmed down, and saying, look, if summer's going to work well, we have can we make some various agreements, things that are going to happen, things that we're all going to try and do. And so it's on the table. And then if they don't, then you can point them back. Do you remember we said that you were going to, put your breakfast in the dishwasher each day? Can I just remind you of that? So it's turned it into something that has been discussed and agreed upon. And if they don't agree on it, then that's part of another conversation. So that's my bit about other people. So I just wanted to touch on now another thing, which is when it all goes wrong, which on certain days, there will be days where, despite all of our best intentions, despite all of this, I'm going to be calm, I'm going to be loving, I'm going to be peaceful, there will be days where it all goes wrong. I've said to myself, I need a dog walk every day to get some space. I come back, I don't manage the dog walk, the kitchen's a mess, the laundry's piling up, I feel like I've got 101 things to do. My children aren't behaving the way that I want them to do. All they want to do is sit on screens. How am I going to feel when this is happening? I'm going to be feeling, that the anger's going to mount. I might feel angry at my children. I might think the stress comes from the fact I didn't get my walk. The stress is coming at me from the laundry. The stress is coming at me from the fact all my children want to do is go on screens. It's going to feel like all of these outside things from outside of me are causing me to feel a certain way. And when that happens, it's something I use in my coaching quite a lot, my mind is going to get really, really busy with thinking, I can't believe how ungrateful they are. I'm the only one that does anything around here. Swirly, swirly, swirly. It builds up. I don't know if anyone's ever done that. I'm sure you all have, where you feel wronged. Your arguments as to why you're wronged, they get bigger and bigger and bigger. And before you know it, you feel terrible. The more thinking we all have about stuff, the more terrible we feel. And that's because the more thinking we have, the further, this is your well-being here. If I've got a load of clouded thinking where I'm thinking everyone else is wrong and I'm right, that's going to cloud up my well-being and take me away from my feeling, my innate qualities of love and peace and calm. But when I remember that it's not possible for laundry to put a feeling in me, it's not possible for my children to actually put a feeling in me, it's not possible for the messy kitchen to put a feeling in me. There's only one thing that can put a feeling in me. And that one thing is my thought in the moment, my thinking in the moment. We've all had times where these things don't bother us so much. There are times when they do. And that's because our thinking about it is different. We have friends that can exist in a house that looks, like an absolute tip, and it doesn't bother them. Yet sometimes our house can look a bit messy, and that really affects us and bothers us. So it's not true that it's the messy house that makes us feel stressed. It's our thinking. And what I'm not saying here is change your thinking. Think positive, think, oh, aren't I lucky? I don't really subscribe to the positive thinking thing, because I think that's just denying really what comes up. But what is helpful is knowing that it comes from our thinking, because our thinking brings about our feeling. At any given moment, we're always feeling the sum total of our thinking. That's the only way outside experiences can touch us, is via our own thinking. It's not one thought equals one feeling. It's not as simple as that. It's the sum total of my thinking is going to make me feel a certain way. And when we see that, it does something for us, because when we know that it's our thinking that's making us feel a certain way, rather than the laundry, the children, if it looks that it's all of those things that are making me feel a certain way, I'm kind of stuck. I can't feel better until the laundry has been done, until my children are behaving, and until I've done what I want to do. But when I know that it's my thinking, I can just allow it to pass. It can just pass. I know that if I take some deep breaths, maybe step away, then my thinking might pass, and like a cloud. Our thoughts are like clouds that pass. I heard somewhere that the average feeling actually only lasts for around 60 to 90 seconds. So that feeling of overwhelm, where I feel like it's the holidays that are doing it to me, it's going to look really, really real, that it's other people that are doing this to me, because it's a great illusion. As David Bohm says, thought creates our reality and then says I didn't do it. So it really looks like it's all of these things that are making me feel a certain way. But actually knowing that it's my thinking, it's a little bit like if I know that, if you put your hand on a hot stove and it's uncomfortable, you learn to take it off. So when I see that, I see what's going on, I might just stop shaking the snow globe with more reasons as to why I hate my family, more reasons why all of these. I might just, when I realize it's my thinking that's doing it and not them, I've been working with this understanding for a year or so. I just sometimes stop that snow globe. I don't keep shaking it, because I know that I'm on the false path here. I'm on the false logic path, but looking. So you might just let the snow globe settle, and then your feelings of well-being can come back. This is a big topic, and I've just ventured into it. You know, this is something I'd love to discuss with anyone more if they're interested. It's been fundamentally shifting for me in my ability to handle stressful situations and things that I used to feel a victim about. So that's just introducing this, and that's something, you know, I'd be delighted to discuss more with anyone. Where this happens, where we have bad days, I also wanted to introduce, I said I wouldn't do huge amounts of tips, but the idea of a reset. You know, reset, if everything's going wrong, you just wave the reset flag, clean slate, family, everyone, it's all going wrong, reset. Let's begin again. Let's start the day again. We've got onto we've got off to a bad start. So let's wave the reset flag, and then we can all move on. You don't have to be stuck. You know, we can sometimes, our mind, when it's getting busy, can say, that's it, it's all a disaster. The holidays I'm not going to be okay until the holiday's over. And it becomes very kind of like we want to sort of throw in the towel. But there's always the opportunity to take it, to have a clean slate and start again, as indeed there is in life, but particularly over the holidays, we can all do a reset. And that can be something we introduce to the family as well. You know, you could say like, okay, it's all going wrong, we're going to reset. So the other, one of my favorite podcasts, at the end, she always says, what's the one gift you give to everyone? And the gift I would give to you over the summer, as we go into the summer, is the gift of self-compassion. When things go wrong, the other thing that we can do is we start blaming ourselves. I'm useless, I should have planned this, why didn't I see this coming? You know, I can't handle it, everyone else can. And that only adds to the noise in our minds. So I'd invite you, when these things happen, is to not learn, it comes naturally really to us, but to apply some self-compassion to yourself, to listen and look at everything that you're trying to hold, and be compassionate to yourself. It's almost like learning to self-soothe when we're able to be compassionate to ourselves. We don't need other people to calm us down. We can learn to be compassionate to ourselves. And that's going to allow us to clean the slate as well when we give some self-compassion. The podcast is called the Motherkind podcast. So yeah, my gift for you over the summer is one of self-compassion. There's probably going to be lots of things you're trying to achieve, and seeing that sometimes that's not always going to be possible. If you're anything like me, you set yourself up with too many things, and sometimes, you know, it doesn't all materialize. So that's my my parting words for you. And now I'd love to invite any questions from anyone.
So we've had no questions in the chat. So if anybody wants to come off mute and just ask their question, that's probably, because we're a nice small group, we can do that.
Henrietta, thank you for that. I thought one of the things you said just towards the end was really interesting, and sort of like, I think might really resonate with a lot of people in our audience, is the idea of the reset flag. And not just, you know, in the school holidays, not just, you know, a particular point in one day, but that clean start in life. Because I think there's that danger, you know, how when you sort of bump into someone and go, oh, it's July, you know, we're almost halfway through the year, and I haven't managed to do this, and I haven't managed to do that, and I don't know where I'm going and things. And I think it's there's a danger of that snowballing taking over not just holidays, which obviously are, you know, a very specific you know, set of circumstances that many of us, you know, sort of juggle and manage, but it's actually in your life, as it were. There's a danger that you don't set the reset. So here you are, and you know, it's that whole thing of, but I want to do something, what is it? And I guess, you know, what do you what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think that's something that human beings often overlook, that we do have this capacity to draw paint a new picture every day. You know, we are able to paint a new picture of our lives, to start with a clean slate. It's available to us, but often we we've become so accustomed to our way of doing things. That's like the neural pathways have become so entrenched. I often think of it like, we carry around this bag of rocks that weighs us down. And every morning we wake up and I'll put this bag of rocks back on again, and I'll go into life with this bag of rocks. If we can see that at any moment we can choose to take the bag of rocks off us and start again, with a clean slate, then how freeing is that? It's to a certain, and I know sometimes it's subconscious and it's not something we consciously choose, but sometimes there are rocks that we're carrying around that no longer serve us, that we can, put to one side and say, now it's time to move on and look forward. Exactly. And people like New Year because that's the time when it feels, that's a done thing, the New Year resolutions, but you can do that at any day of the year, 365 days of the year, you can do that. And something about September seems to be like a new start that's sort of already there in the air. So September can often be a time when people, feel that they're able to have a clean start, fresh slate. But you can do it at any time of day.
And I think to me, the summer holidays I always find is an interesting time because my children are still in schooling, is that there's so much structure that goes into term time. But actually, before you know it, you've gone through a 10 or a 12-week term, and every Monday looks the same, every Tuesday looks the same. And I think the holidays is that chance to, for me, I always feel like I'm in my happy place, because you're, as you say, sort of metaphorically, taking that sort of backpack of rocks off you in the form of structure, and it allows you to slightly, within the context of having to sort of juggle a number of things, allows you to entertain the thoughts of blue sky thinking, and to be able to feel a bit freer, and to not overclutter your days or your weeks with so much structure that you haven't got time to think beyond that, and to come at something in a slightly different way.
Exactly. Yeah, it can give a really fresh perspective. Exactly. And sometimes we can feel fearful about the idea of, all my structure's gone. My structure, how am I going to deal with this? There's no structure. But exactly, what does that open up for you? That freedom. It's a freedom. And actually, yes, the blue sky thinking, the ability to dream. I often talk about people, if people are wanting to make a change, then summer holidays are a great time to do that while you're lying on your sunbed. Sipping a pina colada, dream, have a think about what would you like to change about your life? What would, often we come up with great ideas when we're away from we're out of our life in a funny way. We've got a bit of perspective, and we're able to say, yeah, I don't think that's working so well. And, so yeah. And that's what, I would really encourage people to use the sort of.
And I don't think it even has to be in a sort of, in a position of sort of glamour or whatever, in front of your pina colada. It's almost the symbolism of being by the sea, the colours, the context, for the senses that you can experience in sort of evoke those changes in you.
Yeah. The natural world and the sea is a great thing for giving you a sense of perspective and distance, and realizing that we are able, we're not at the mercy of our lives. We are able to create what's important to us. Yeah, so
that was amazing, Henrietta. Thank you. I just had I'm really intrigued by this whole thing, the Steve Chandler thing about thinking and feeling. And it makes suddenly the idea that actually the pile of laundry cannot make you feel rubbish about your life, or the fact that your children can't use a knife and fork. Have you got is there a book you would recommend, or a podcast, or any to sort of learn more about that whole sort of thought process?
Yeah, let me think. That's not actually Steve Chandler. Steve Chandler is the
he's Expectations
Agreement. The thought feeling connection is all around this area, which I now explore, which is called the 3 principles, which talks about how our experience is created. Yeah, that things can only come to us via our thinking. So it's the 3 principles. I'm trying to think. There's a nice business podcast called Quality of Mind that I like. I've learned about it through my coach Jamie Smart. Michael Neal is a great coach who talks about this a lot as well. Okay. He's got a lovely podcast called Caffeine for the Soul. Caffeine for the Soul. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. I'm curious actually, and we could stop the recording before if wanted, but I'm curious whether anyone saw some surprises that came up to them when they thought about you know, what they wanted to get out of the summer when they went into that visualization. Were people surprised by what came up? Did you find something coming through that maybe you hadn't thought was there, a need?
I'm not sure if it was really a surprise, as it was just reinforces that when I'm spending time just relaxing, really, not necessarily doing anything, I'm reading or I'm gardening or I'm just, you know, filling up my own soul in a way, then those were the good memories and the good times, because obviously we're in winter holidays now, so I was reflecting back on summer, and the difference comes about in finding that quiet time where my mind is not busy, my hands are not necessarily busy, although, you know, weeding or gardening is, but I'm not, you know, I'm not working. I'm relaxing.
Yeah, when you're in flow as well. When you're in flow, your mind really, really quietens down. And this is what this understanding talks about, is that all of our well-being is there. It's there for us whenever it's available. It's built into us. It's built into our system. This is what I teach children on this iHeart course. It's built into our system. And so it's available to us whenever our mind quietens down. Busy minds are what takes us away from it. Yeah. And obviously
I think that's a really good symbol. So when, because, you know, when you're in that state of stress, heightened, whatever it is, and you know, it comes at you, being able to visualize your snow globe is fantastic, because you can literally you know, tell yourself to declutter it.
It may not be something you can actively do. Sometimes it's just a question of stepping away, you know, and just not shaking it more. Sometimes you just have to wait. Like, you can't actually settle it. You have to it's just a matter of time, and then it does settle. Things like everyone knows that what does it for them, like a walk in nature, you know, a swim in the sea. Sometimes that can be enough. Take us away from that mind.
Right, I'm very conscious of the time, and Claire's had to leave as well, so I think I'm going to. Sarah, do you want to just close and then I'll stop?
Yes, absolutely. Well, before we close, Henrietta, thank you very much indeed. I think from the comments we've had, you know, it's been absolutely wonderful. And here we have, you know, one from one of our guests who says, "Thank you so much. I really, really enjoyed it." And I think it just reinforces how important it is. However busy we are, however much noise we've got going on in our lives, to take that moment to reflect, and it's so valuable that you know, should never be underestimated. So, you know, thank you very much indeed, and I hope, you know, given the engagement and the thoughts and the comments that everyone shared, and for different exercises, I hope that really does help you to navigate your way through the next couple of months with ease and with joy, and that you'll approach September with some calm. As we said, we're going to share the recording with you, so we hope you enjoy that. Please do register with Really Help the Club and join our community if you haven't already done so. And as ever, as we always say, you know, we at Really Help the Club are here to help you take your next step forward. And don't ever forget that there's a huge amount of resource and expertise out there. And so we're here to help you take that next step forward. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.